Stop. Before you watch this video, go to your kitchen. Find a bag of cat food, or dog food, or a vacuum-packed piece of cheese, or a bag of frozen vegetables. Try to open it. I'll wait. Yeah, that's what I thought. You pulled at the little notch. Nothing happened. You pulled harder. Still nothing. You used your teeth. The bag didn't care. You grabbed scissors. Finally. That wasn't bad luck. That wasn't a defective bag. That was the bag working exactly as designed. Today we're going to talk about packaging. Specifically, packaging that cannot be opened by a human being without tools, violence, or a complete emotional breakdown. There are 5 types, and every single one of them was made impossible to open on purpose. Let's go. Act 1. The thin plastic produce bag. You know this one. It's hanging on the roll at the supermarket. Transparent, crinkly, weighs nothing. You tear one off. You try to open it. You rub it between your fingers. Nothing. You lick your finger. You rub again. Nothing. You hold it up to the light, trying to find the opening. You find what you think is the edge. You pull. The bag stretches, but doesn't open. You pull from the other side. Same thing. Meanwhile, someone next to you in the produce section has already bagged 6 apples and moved on with their life. So why is this bag impossible to open? Because it's made from low-density polyethylene, LDPE, and it's manufactured with the 2 sides pressed together under heat. The opening is sealed just enough to be airtight during storage and shipping, but not permanently sealed. In theory, you should be able to open it with dry fingers and a normal amount of friction. In practice, your fingers are slightly moist from touching produce. Moisture reduces friction. The bag sides cling to each other. You lick your finger to add more moisture, which makes it worse because now both surfaces are wet and slippery. The bag is designed for dry warehouse conditions, not for human hands that have just touched a cucumber. Did anyone fix this? No, because making produce bags easier to open would require thicker plastic or a different opening mechanism. Both cost more, and the current bags cost almost nothing to produce. You are not the customer for this bag. The supermarket is, and the supermarket doesn't have to open it. Act 2. The thick plastic bag with handles. You bought something. Groceries, hardware, clothes. Doesn't matter. It came in a thick plastic bag, polypropylene, slightly glossy, with 2 sturdy handles and a sealed bottom. You get home. You try to open it. The top edge is heat-sealed. There's a tiny notch on one side. That's the tear point. You put your fingers in the notch and pull. The notch tears for about 2 millimeters and stops. The plastic is too thick. You pull harder. You grip with both hands. You pull so hard the bag crinkles and warps, but doesn't open. The seal holds. You get the scissors. Why does this happen? The heat seal on these bags is designed to be tamper-evident, meaning, if it's been opened before you get it, you should be able to tell. So the seal is intentionally strong, stronger than your hands. The tear notch exists to give you a starting point, but the notch is only effective if you pull exactly perpendicular to the seal at exactly the right angle with exactly the right amount of force. Nobody told you that. The bag designers knew this. They included the notch anyway because it technically provides an opening mechanism. Whether it works for actual humans was not part of the specification. This is called design for manufacturing, not design for users. The bag is perfect. You are the problem. Act 3. The pet food bag. This one is personal for a lot of people. You have a cat or a dog. They're hungry. You grab the bag of dry food. It's a multi-layer bag, craft paper on the outside, foil lining on the inside, sealed at the top with a crimped heat seal. There's a small printed arrow that says, "Tear here." You tear here. The paper tears, but the foil layer underneath doesn't. Now you have a paper flap hanging off a bag that's still completely sealed. You grip the foil layer and pull. The foil stretches. It does not tear. Your cat is watching you. You try to separate the layers. There are 3 of them: paper, adhesive, foil, bonded together under industrial pressure. Your fingers cannot generate enough force to delaminate them. You get scissors. You cut across the top. The cat eats. The multi-layer construction of pet food bags exists for 2 legitimate reasons. First, the foil barrier keeps moisture and air out, which keeps kibble fresh for months. Second, the craft paper exterior gives it structural integrity, so it can be stacked and shipped without tearing. These are real engineering requirements, but the tear here mechanism was added as an afterthought. It works on the paper layer. It was never designed to work on the foil layer. And nobody went back to redesign it when they added the foil. So you have a bag that's engineered to keep food fresh for 18 months and engineered to be impossible to open in under 30 seconds. Both things are true. Nobody saw this as a contradiction worth fixing. Your cat has been fed. The scissors go back in the drawer. This is your life now. Act 4. Vacuum packaging. Meat, fish, cheese, sliced deli. All of it comes in the same format. A rigid tray covered with a thin film of clear plastic, heat-sealed around the edges. No handles, no tear notch, no opening mechanism of any kind. You pick up a vacuum-packed piece of salmon. You look for the edge. There is no edge. The film is stretched tight across the top and sealed flush with the tray. There's no gap between the film and the tray. There's nowhere to get your fingernail under. You try anyway. You drag your fingernail along the seal. The film slides. Nothing catches. You try the corner. The corner is the most sealed part. Your fingernail bends. You try a knife. You pierce the film. The vacuum releases with a hiss, which is mildly satisfying, and then you drag the knife around the edge, which works, but also nearly takes off your finger. Why is there no opening mechanism on vacuum packs? Because the seal is the product. Vacuum packaging extends shelf life by removing oxygen, which slows bacterial growth and oxidation. The tighter the seal, the longer the shelf life. Any compromise in the seal, a tear strip, a peel tab, a loose corner, is a potential failure point for the vacuum. So the industry made a choice: maximum freshness, zero convenience. Some premium brands have added easy peel films that work reasonably well. They cost more. Most manufacturers decided not to use them. You are paying for the freshness. The opening experience was not included in the price. Act 5. Blister packaging. Batteries, USB cables, headphones, children's toys, small electronics. All sealed in the same format: a rigid, transparent plastic shell heat-bonded to a cardboard backing, with no visible seam and no opening mechanism. This format has a name: wrap rage. It is an officially documented phenomenon. There are emergency room statistics about blister packaging injuries. You try to tear it. The plastic is rigid PVC. It doesn't tear, it cracks. When it cracks, it creates sharp edges. Those edges cut your hands. You try scissors. You can't get the scissors into the sealed edge. You try a knife. You stab into the plastic. The packaging deflects the knife sideways, toward your other hand. Consumer advocacy groups have been complaining about blister packaging since the 1990s. Some manufacturers have switched to frustration-free packaging, cardboard boxes with normal flaps that open like a box. Amazon has pushed this format aggressively. The rest of the industry has not followed. Because blister packaging does something cardboard boxes cannot, it makes products visible. You can see exactly what you're buying through the clear plastic. It reduces return rates. It's harder to swap a product for a different one. It's much harder to shoplift. Blister packaging is not designed for the person buying the product. It's designed for the retailer selling it. The injury statistics are a known side effect. They were not considered a reason to change. So here's what we have. 5 types of packaging, 5 different materials, 5 different industries, 5 completely separate design decisions made by 5 different groups of engineers in 5 different decades. And every single one of them arrived at the same conclusion. The person opening this package is not our primary concern. The produce bag, optimized for cost. The thick handle bag, optimized for tamper evidence. The pet food bag, optimized for freshness. The vacuum pack, optimized for shelf life. The blister pack, optimized for theft prevention. In each case, there was a legitimate engineering reason for the decision. In each case, that reason had nothing to do with you. You are the last person in the supply chain. By the time the packaging reaches you, every decision has already been made. By the time you're standing in your kitchen with scissors trying to open cat food, the engineer who designed that crimp seal has been retired for 15 years. Nobody is going to fix this. Not because it can't be fixed, because fixing it would cost money. And you'll figure it out. You always do. Nobody fixed this. I look up why things are the way they are, so you don't have to. Subscribe if you want to keep being furious about ordinary objects. See you next week.